Kevin Woods. I'm the VP of Marketing at Lumina Networks. Hopefully we'll have our slides up here in a minute or two. But basically, we are solving a different part of the problem at Lumina Networks. We're solving the software transformation part of the network. So the evolution of the core to software-based, the transformation of the front haul and back haul network to be software-enabled. We started Lumina as a project inside Brocade in about 2014 and began to build products there based on software-defined networking to help transform the Brocade product line into software. While at Brocade, we were able to establish major customers, AT&T and Verizon. And then about a year ago, we spun off this project as its own company based in San Jose, Lumina Networks. Since that time, we've secured our Series A funding, led by Verizon Ventures and backed by AT&T. And we're working with them on major software transformation initiatives so that we can recognize the benefits of 5G in terms of user applications. So to back up for a moment, if we look at the problem broadly, we've built the internet sort of the way we have here on the left, which is a series of islands that we've connected with very capable protocols such as TCP/IP, and that's worked very well so far. But what we've built is something that's fairly fragile and inflexible. And so we have to look at software transforming the network and building the network, in other words, more like a software architecture. So you can see here on the right, this is the middleware solution, if you will, that Lumina is building. And it's sort of like you would have an operating system on a PC, but in networking, we call it a controller. So this is a software controller that will enable us to move to higher bandwidth applications and really realize the capacity benefits of 5G. Now, one of the difficult problems in solving this is that we can't take out the internet one day and replace it with a new software transformed internet the next day. This has to happen in a series of small steps occurring over many, many years. And it involves things such as first being able to bring the existing equipment into the fold and enable software control of existing equipment. Building an abstraction to be able to bring in the new equipment, whether that's virtual equipment or new types of white boxes. Orchestrating all of that so that we can create a tight relationship between the applications that use the network and the underlying network infrastructure, and then finally making that all programmable so that different types of service providers can manage their services at the same time. So this involves not just new technologies, but also fundamental changes in the way that the service providers who control the internet select the technology, build it, incorporate it, methods and practices. This is especially important in 5G, where when you look at things like emergency response services, connected car, machine-to-machine automation services, all the great things that we want with 5G, this is really a very different way of building things. The applications need to be close to the edge of the network and close to the users, and so that's what we needed to enable. So this actually involves transformation in the technology, but also in the way that the service providers create standards. We're moving to a world here where open source is extremely critical because it's the only way that the solutions can be built fast enough and the platforms that we need for interoperability can be created. And we're also observing that the service providers are taking a lot of this into their own hands. So they're developing internally software practices, Agile, DevOps methodology, and so forth to make all of this possible and achievable quickly. So Lumina is purposed to help service providers with this software transformation, both in the core as well as in the access parts of the network for 5G. So we're moving on now to expand our customer relationships. We did a Series A funding back in May, and we're working on our Series B now to expand the product line and expand our geographic reach. We're working with 3 Tier 1 telcos right now in their network software transformation initiatives. So that's all of my prepared remarks. Do we have any questions?
Questions again? Okay, I've got one then. So how does your software relate to that of network slicing on 5G?
Yeah, so I would consider network slicing to be a use case of software transformed networking. So when you create a slice for the network, the software and the network needs to be aware of what application is this, what service provider, what are the attributes of that slice that's being asked for. All of that needs to be performed in software, and our solution helps provide the control plane that makes deploying that use case possible.
Any other questions? Okay, Alex will be around over. Sorry, Kevin will be around.